Hello, I'm Mario Toneguzzi, managing editor of Canada's podcast, Taking Care of Business Today with Samantha Villiard, who is regional vice president with Remax Canada. Thanks for joining us today, Samantha.
Thanks so much for having me. Happy to be here.
Well, an interesting report that you folks have put out, Alternative Home Ownership Models, Trends in the Canadian Housing Market. What is the basic or key finding that they found from this report, Samantha?
Yeah, I think regardless of the affordability challenges that we're seeing in Canada, like the rising cost of living, lack of inventory, high pricing, high interest rates, Canadians' desire for home ownership, uh, is not been diminished. It's still strong. They're still seeing it like a long-term strong investment. And so this is prompting a lot of Canadians many Canadians to seriously consider alternative home ownership models. And so we're seeing an uptick in trends like co-ownership with friends or family that maybe are not spouse, not marriages,
Yeah.
secondary units, granny suites, and in some cases rent to own situations as well. So these in most cases they're smart. They make financial sense for a lot of individuals that may not be able to get into the housing market on their own, or they're not coupled up with somebody with a long-term relationship like a marriage. And so we're seeing that Canadians are taking an innovative, creative workaround approach to make it work for them, because the desire and the need for to meet that dream home ownership is still alive and well. So, what is some of the driving factors, I guess, that we've seen that the report has pointed out? Well, one, lack of affordability. That's definitely number one. Rising cost of living, low inventory. So there's a saying that necessity is the mother of invention, and I thought that's so interesting and resonates so much with what we're seeing with this particular trend. Also, increased number of newcomers to Canada. A lot of our racialized Canadians, they have multi-generational homes. And so that's so important to them and their communities that we're seeing an uptick with secondary units, granny suites, to meet those needs of those families. And also, I should note, the aging population of Canadians, those baby boomers that are looking to move in with their children and their grandchildren. And so granny suites are much needed in those situations to obviously help with childcare, but quite frankly, housing costs as well.
Yeah.
Um, and then I think what we've also seen, which in some cities across the nation is new, is the support from municipal governments. And so these governments are looking at seeing secondary units and maybe granny suites as beneficial to the communities. And
Yeah.
so they're in some cases incentivizing. In a lot of cases, they're changing their policies to make more lax approach to building processes and zoning restrictions. So we're seeing that throughout the country, especially in Atlantic Canada. They've made some changes over the last couple of years, I believe. So, all that being said, I think the number one thing, if I may add, that buyers should definitely be looking at, Canadian buyers who are looking to get into these alternative means and non-traditional approaches into home ownership, would be get yourself a reputable professional realtor. Make sure that you have done your research. Can't stress that
Yeah.
enough. There are so many REMAX agents and brokers throughout the country that have experience in these non-traditional means, and they've seen both the positive stories, but also the negative. And so I think we have to be really honest with ourselves about looking to partner up and having the best team backing the buyer and these Canadians backing them up, and making sure that they know what due diligence to complete, such as knowing, what tax implications may I see if I choose a non-traditional home ownership model, maybe due diligence on the person that you're buying the property with. I think it's important to know what is their financial situation, their personal situation, because you really don't know someone until you live with them, right?
Yeah.
And of course, just
Yeah.
having, not only a professional realtor, experienced realtor, but experienced lawyer, mortgage broker, lenders that
Yeah.
have seen this situation before and have lived it, breathed it, experienced it, and walked the home buyer through what are the different options, what is going to be the best fit for me, my family, my financial situation, because not one, one size doesn't fit all in this solution. So all
Yeah.
that being said, there's lots of us that are here in the industry that are looking to support and make sure that people are making informed, educated decisions. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think the dream is there and it's alive and well, and people are looking at getting into the housing market now more than ever, and don't want to sit and wait much longer. So
Yeah. So are you finding this trend more prevalent in certain markets, or is it something that is across the board?
it's not new to the industry. I think it's across the board. However, it is more, I would say, of an uptick popular trend that we're seeing in pricier markets like Toronto, but we're seeing it in growing communities like in Moncton. So I think there's something to be said that it is becoming a national uptick trend.
Yeah, okay. And in terms of the ages, this is predominantly obviously younger people, but are even older people looking at these types of options?
Yeah, I see that for sure. Like I mentioned about partnering, a co-ownership option would be great for aging couples or individuals where they may be able to go into a partnership essentially with somebody else. That would make sense. Yeah.
Yeah, and you did mention newcomers, but I'm also curious if this is a concept or an idea that uh, gains more traction with the ethnic community. We all know like all this, immigrant stories from the past where a lot of immigrant families are staying in one home, etc. Are they more would they lean more to doing something like this, do you think?
Yes, absolutely. I think that's a big part of their community is multi-generational homes. And so making sure that they have the means to be able to meet those needs is essential. And we've seen that a lot of areas, specifically in the GTA, have always seen that in their communities, multi-generational homes, and we're seeing that spread out throughout Canada as well.
All right. And one last thing, Samantha, as you look forward, look into the into the future, your crystal ball, do you think this is just a trend that's going to stay there and continue for a while?
It will for the foreseeable future. I don't have a crystal ball. Let's first say that I don't know. Things can always change. However, I think, as we said before, I think it's so important to note that this is not a long-term solution. That this is just a workaround until we can get our governments into a better place to help support, the inventory issues and affordability. We'll get there eventually. I have a positive outlook on that. So in the meantime, though, Canadians, see the importance of home ownership, and they're taking matters into their own hands to make it happen for them, which is great to hear.
All right, super. Thanks very much, Samantha, for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
All right, that was Samantha Villiard, who is Regional Vice President with REMAX Canada. I'm Mario Toneguzzi, Managing Editor of Canada's podcast, Taking Care of Business Today. Thanks for joining us.